do it.
The Canadian tax scam. Let's get into it.
Dun, dun, dun.
So the average worker in Ontario earns about $65,000 a year. And that sounds decent, right? Let's see how much of that the Ontarian actually keeps. So you get your $65K a year, right? Federal and provincial income tax, $19.5K. Okay, $19,500. These are rough numbers, but very close. CPP and employment insurance deductions, $4,000. Your take-home pay is roughly $41,500 after earning $65,000. So the government, before you even touch your money, the government has already taken just around $23,500 from your cash. Then you get your money, you got to go shopping. You got to buy things you need.
You gotta
yes,
live.
you do.
You gotta live.
So you go shopping, you got to pay a 13% HST. So you spend your after-tax dollars, money that you've already paid income tax on, to then pay 13% on all your purchases. So your $41,500 take home really buys around $36,700 worth of goods. So far, you've earned $65K, and really that $65K buys you around $36,700 of real purchases.
Right.
We're not talking about goods. We're talking about purchases.
So your disposable income.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And most people think that at this point, we're done paying taxes.
Not yet.
No. There are hidden taxes inside everything you buy. So every product you buy has taxes baked into it. So let's just say gasoline. Gasoline has a 10-cent federal excise tax, 9-cent provincial fuel tax, which adds up to 19 cents per liter indirect tax. And then they charge you the 13% HST on top of that. So that compounds.
Absolutely. It's a tax on a tax.
And then you have to remember that if you're buying from a store, if you're buying from even online, you're buying from a company that has overhead. That overhead, and they pay taxes. What taxes? So trucking, retail, manufacturing, okay? They pay property tax, payroll tax, corporate tax, and all of those taxes are passed on to you in the price that you pay for the goods that you buy.
Absolutely.
So by the time you pay at the bill, roughly 25 to 45% of every price tag is baked in taxes.
Shit.
That means your $36,700 of spending power really buys you closer to around $25,000 of real goods and services.
In Canadian dollars.
Okay, we're not done yet.
Just pesos.
And you would think after this miserable result that, we're done.
Yeah.
We're not done.
Please,
we're not done.
Deliver us.
We're not done.
Deliver us of this misery. Please, no more. Please, no more.
Next, you want to buy a house. Let's say you're a couple, two people earning $65K each.
Yeah.
Okay. You get to buy your first condo for $500K in Toronto. Okay. You're excited. You're a young couple. You're in Toronto. You got a solid job. Or maybe you live on the outside of Toronto. Maybe you live in Mississauga, Brampton, and you get your first $500K condo. Okay. Land transfer tax, first time buyer, $6,500 roughly.
Ugh.
Okay. First time buyer rebate included. Without it, you would pay around $10,500 if you're not a first time buyer. HST on legal fees, inspection, and insurance, which amounts to around $500 to $700 extra. Mortgage insurance, CMHC, if you're under 20% down, you pay around $10,000 premium and a 13% HST on that premium.
Yeah, it's true, eh?
Okay.
They charge you HST on the housing insurance. Not like home insurance. We're talking about mortgage insurance.
And this is all on after-tax income.
Mm-hmm.
We just covered
yeah.
how your purchases...
For sure.
Next. So before they even get the keys, around $8,000 to $10,000 of their after-tax saving is gone to more taxes and fees. Then there's owning the property. It doesn't end. Okay.
My butthole can't handle it anymore. Please.
Property tax, roughly $4,000 a year. That's just straight to the government. Condo fees, you pay tax, utilities, and HST on services. Maintenance and repairs, so you pay HST on the maintenance and repairs, which fair. Home insurance, like insurance is another, it's a service, but it feels like a tax out of your pocket. So I included insurance, which you also pay taxes on, 8% tax. Utilities, which you also pay HST on, which amounts to roughly $325 a year. So your total yearly cost of living in the condo is about $13,000, and roughly $4,500 of that is pure tax. So
wait, $13,000, 4,000. So 33% taxes. Most of them are HST. Okay, there's property taxes. That's 4,000.
Sorry, I'm a little lost right now. I just need to.
Yeah, it's okay.
Take a sec to
It's
look
okay.
at this. Hold on.
But no, the question I was having regarding this is just because a lot of the taxes, it's the HST, right? The HST, the harmonized sales tax, which is 13% on everything you fucking buy. But then you have, would you consider, for example, utility?
Sorry,
Yes.
the $13,000 is like property tax, condo fees, maintenance and repairs, home insurance, and utilities.
Right.
All in, it's about 13 grand to live in the
Makes
condo.
sense.
4,500 of that is pure tax.
So that includes property taxes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
because property tax at $4,000. So there's about $500 then of tax
Additional
on
taxes.
HST. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's just $375. Okay, forget this. Then driving. You want to drive a car? Your insurance will cost you around $2,000 a year plus 8% tax. That's $160. Registration, $120 a year. Registration is like another hidden tax.
Oh, it is a tax.
Right?
Absolutely.
License and renewal, that's another tax you pay every year. Gasoline, 44. We already talked about gasoline.
There's so many you got lost.
Yeah.
That's a testament to how many fucking taxes there are. Simmer prepared specifically a segment on taxes, and it's so dense of taxes that he can't even keep up with it. That's a testament to how fucked up it is.
Okay, it's even after your death. So let's say you were able to accumulate any modicum of wealth.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say you bought you're like, oh, I got like a triplex and a duplex and I have a couple of tenants living in it, and I'm 70 years old. I've worked my whole life. I've paid taxes and taxes. All the taxes I've covered so far, all the taxes we've covered in Canada, in Ontario. After all that, you get your two little investment properties that you're like, I'm going to pass this on to my kids.
You get your couple quarters to cling together. Yes.
Well, your kids will have to pay capital gains tax on money, on income, on assets you've already paid taxes to acquire multiple times. And what do you get for all these taxes? What are we really getting in Canada for all these taxes? Healthcare waits, averaging 3 to 6 hours in the ER. Okay, CRA, we just talked about the CRA today. You can't get the CRA on the phone. And when you get them on the phone, most of the time they're getting the answer wrong. And not just 40 to 50, 60% of the time, around 80% of the time, the information you're getting, wrong.
Yeah.
ArriveCan was a disaster. Any little government software that comes out, like CARM, we talked about CARM. All of these programs, bugged, need to be axed, waste of money, spent way too much on it anyways.
Yeah.
Canada Post strike. STM was on strike. We have this massive bureaucracy. All the taxes we're paying, we should have the best social services in the world. It's not even close.
We should.
Despite all these taxes, the government still is projecting $100 billion federal deficit, even after collecting all this taxation from its citizens. What are the laws that they're pushing? Internet control, censorship. They're not addressing the economy. Like we were talking about 10 years of the Liberals.
But do you think that they're not addressing the economy? Because to be honest with you, at this point, it is just so fucked that it is just unfixable.
No trade deal and no legislation around cutting bureaucracy and cutting taxes for
But do you think
workers.
it's fixable though?
Is it fixable in this situation?
Yeah.
There's
do you think we're beyond, or do you think it's still redeemable? Like we can redeem ourselves?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
But if you look at the level of indebtedness in this country, and last week we covered a chart that we were showing a chart that showed that Canada's economic state resembles that of the United States before the 2008 financial crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So that Canada is looking very similar.
Yeah, we're like in a bubble, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so personally, I think that there's going to be a massive financial crisis in this country. I think the dollar is going to tank. I think
So how can people,
we've talked about this.
But how can people, do you have a recommendation of how people can, as best as possible, protect themselves or at least brace for the impact? Is there something that people can do, or is just like, tough luck, we're all going to bleed?
If the government really deregulates and shrinks the size of the bureaucracy, we have so many riches in this country.
Yeah.
You covered that in just the last episode. You were talking about Canada is one of the wealthiest countries in the world by far. And if people knew how hard they were getting scammed by the government and how wealthy and well off they could actually be, they would be rioting in the streets. The issue in Canada is not just the government. It's the lack of awareness that the population has.
Yeah.
You know, the just me sitting down and doing this homework and preparing this segment on taxes, it took me, a few hours to sit down, gather all my knowledge, put it all together. And even then, it's hard to fathom the level of taxation in this country.
It is. I think.
And so if you're not aware of it as a citizen, you will be a victim of it.
Yeah.
And so
most people are not aware of it.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's what drives the left's power so much is the ignorance, of its voter base. The fact that most Canadians don't know this about how they're being taxed, their money.
Yeah.
That's what you need to survive. You work every day. You should understand the taxation system. You should understand compounding taxes. You should understand federal levels of debt. You should understand household debt. You should understand business investment per capita in the country, how it's tanking. You should understand that the Canadian dollar is tanking.
Yeah.
You pay taxes.
But I think it stems back again to the education system. And also, my biggest strife in all of this is source deductions. I think source deduction is the biggest scam because it keeps people blind. I can't tell you, and I'm sure you've seen this before, I can't tell you how many times people, I ask them, okay, what's your income? And they kind of somewhat even know their income. They don't even really know their income. And then I'm like, is that your pre or post-tax income? They don't even fucking know. Most people don't know where their money is going. Look, at my company, obviously, I did payroll. I took care of payroll and whatnot. And the amount of time all the pay stubs were sent electronically, right? It wasn't printed or anything or handed. It was electronic pay stub. And they have a portal where every employee can go and check their pay stub privately. And I could see the audit log. I could see how often or when an employee would log on to go check their fucking pay stub. The answer is, I think there was one guy that did it religiously. And I spoke to him because he downloaded it locally on his computer because he wanted to have access to it. Every single other employee never checked their fucking pay stub a single time, which means they don't know where their taxes are going. They have no idea. And that's the common Canadian right there.
So I made a final scorecard on the I called it the Canadian tax scam.
Okay.
So the Ontario worker making $65K, right? Let's go back to him for a second. Earned income $65K, after payroll and income taxes $41K left, so 64% of it left. After HST on spending, $36,700, 56% left.
Yeah.
After hidden taxes and fees, $33,000, 51% left. After property and car costs, $25,000 to $28,000, 40% left for real life.
Shit. So we're giving that an F?
That's a
It's an F.
It's a
Minus
Z.
F.
It's a Z.
You're getting a double F.
So the average Torontonian earns around $65K, takes home $41K, and ends up maybe living on $25K after taxes, fees, and inflation. And we haven't counted inflation or import taxes, so duties.
Yeah.
So all this, and I still haven't counted two more taxes.